Hey guys, Silverlord here, back again with another review, and today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Masterworks Remastered Spawn Classic Edition. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alrighty guys, as I said before, today we're taking a look at this sexy sumbitch right here. That's right, we're going to be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Kickstarter exclusive Masterworks Spawn. This is supposed to be a remastered edition of the Spawn figure I took a look at just yesterday for Throwback Thursdays. If you haven't checked that out already, please do. But with that being said, I'm going to just cut to the chase so we can get right into the aesthetics and articulation of this guy, because there is a lot to talk about here. So, first of all, super easy to stand. This massive cape pretty much just holds him up. And just look at the detail on this dude. He's got a nice kind of airbrush, dry brush, whatever you want to call it, brush going on throughout the entire figure. The thing is matte, too. It's like really, really matte. Looks awesome. Love the green eyes. Love the metal chains for his collar and his belt there. Turning him around here. You can see all the nice paintwork on the cape. The cape is actually a pretty solid material. It's like the harder end of PVC. So that is awesome. Looks really freaking good. Just look at that. Look at that head sculpt. You can kind of see his teeth peeking through the mask there. His kind of skeletal teeth peeking through the mask. That's sick. He's got the spike bracelet over here. He's got the spiked bracelets on his shins and the kind of pouch strap belt thing for his thigh. And he's got his red gloves. This looks really awesome. Really, really awesome. It's a little bit pre-posed. His torso's kind of kinked one way. And then his neck is kind of kinked the other way. But that's okay. That's okay with me. I don't mind that too much. So articulation, getting into that. His head can look up and down pretty well. You want to be careful with this neck, though, because you will get a lot of gap right here when you tilt it up. I'm kind of surprised he didn't just make the head pop off and add the neck sculpted to the torso. That's about my only real gripe with it, is the neck kind of pops up and down. That's kind of weird. But other than that, you get your rotation, you get some tilt, you get the up and down. Nothing crazy, but it works. It's effective. His shoulders will go out. They are going to be hindered by this cape, though, because it is stiff plastic, like I said. But you can move them in and out, up and down. Rotate them. He does have that butterfly joint, but it's pretty unusable for the most part. I mean, it works, but it doesn't do a lot. He's got a bicep swivel, but it's kind of like if you know the Marvel Legends Hulk figures. It's got the swivel on the bicep hollowed out, and the peg goes all the way down to the elbow. So this is really where you're going to get the rotation. You can just adjust the bicep to compensate for it so it doesn't look weird. Which I don't mind, but I would have liked double jointed elbow on this guy. You can get a little bit past 90, I think, or just at 90. So that's not bad, but makes it a little harder to pose him with the rifle he comes with, but whatever. He's got a swivel at the wrist as well as a hinge. He's got nice looking clawed hands. Look at that. That looks sick. Gonna claw your face off. Moving that back down. He's got a ball joint in the waist, which does move side to side pretty well. He's got a rubber diaper situation going on, so it's easy to move. He can crunch and he can rotate, and he can tilt a little bit. So you can kind of adjust the pre-posedness of the torso, but it's pretty much meant to be in one position specifically. Hips can kick out to the side pretty far, back down, forward, and back a little bit. He's got a thigh cut up here, but on this leg at least, he does have a thigh cut below this kind of pouch belt thing. So that's nice. His knees do have double joints, so you can pretty much have him kick his own ass. So that's cool. And then he's got a shin swivel, as opposed to having the ball hinge feet like we're used to seeing. And then the ankles will move forward and back. And then he also has a rocker and a toe joint. For whatever reason, I wish he took the toe joint out. At least for this figure, considering he took out the double jointed elbow. I would have rather had a double jointed elbow than a toe joint. What do you guys think? But other than that, his cape is also a little bit articulated. It hinges forward and back a little bit, so you can have him kind of enclosed in it. Like this. And that looks cool. Now there's some lint on the review side. How about that? And that looks cool. I like this, but I like it splayed out a lot more. I mean, that's just way more dynamic. I will say the collar kind of gets snagged on the little wing bit up here, so be careful with that. But other than that, this thing looks amazing. I don't mind the pre-posedness of the torso. It's not that big of a deal to me. I know some people, it drives them up a wall, but all I'm going to say is get over it. So with that being said, I think it's time we move on to the accessories. But before we move on to the accessories, I just want to talk about the comic book this guy came with for just a moment, because like the comic that came with the original, has the exact same cover. However, this one has a nice shiny red foil Spawn logo, whereas this one is just the neon green. They also share the same cross-sell advertisement on the back, showing you the rest of Wave 1, which it would be awesome to get the rest of these figures in the remastered style. That would be super duper cool. Then when you open this up, it is black and white, whereas the other one was in color. Nothing on the inside back cover, though. I will say this is also a thicker comic compared to the other one. I'm not sure if it's the exact same comic on the inside, but as far as the covers go, the artwork is identical. However, if you bought a different version of this Masterworks Spawn figure, you probably got a variant cover. For example, the modern version does have a different cover from the other two, I believe. So with that being said, now we will move on to the accessories. Moving on to the accessories, and of course, Masterworks Spawn is going to have a crap load. Kinda one of the things that Todd boasted about the most was how much stuff you were going to get in the box. At some points, I do think he kinda over-exaggerated a bit, because some of the stuff he did mention was not in here, but I'm not going to count that as a knock against the figure by any means, because stuff does cost money. He might have wanted to put more stuff in the box, but just couldn't afford to do it. Now, for those of you who are going to leave a stupid comment saying, well, it only made $3.4 million. Yeah, it did, but it still costs money to make stuff, especially if it's 100% unique tooling. So with that being said, let's get right into it here. Comes with the stand, the Spawn logo. This is 94 to 2021 on it. It's the standard Spawn DC Multiverse style base, just has some nice printing on it. I am probably going to use this too, just because of what it actually says on there. It's kind of worth keeping with the figure. Next up, he's got this, a shotgun, with this crazy bayonet on the bottom. What is this, a searchlight on the bottom, and then a scope, and then it's got two barrels at the top here. I don't know, this thing is freaking gnarly though. It's not a shotgun, it's like a AK-47 type thing on steroids. That's what it is. It's like an automatic rifle type weapon on steroids. Because look at this freaking bayonet thing. That's badass, dude. It's got 2 handles. Holds it back here. I will say, again, I wish his hands had the up and down hinge, because taking a look at those, they do not. They have the in and out, which I don't mind too much, but it would help with posing a little bit. But he's got 2 pairs of hands. He's got 2 trigger hands. Technically 3 pairs of hands. He's got the clawed hands that he comes with in the package, but he's got 2 trigger hands. And then 2 kind of circle jerk grip hands. Which just have kind of this circular hole dremeled through them. And that's to help with the sword, because you can take this pommel off the end here. I loosened mine up as much as I could. I might have to shave a little bit of schmutz off or something, but you can take the pommel off, and then what you can do is you can take one of the hands, slide it onto the grip of the sword, and then put the pommel back on, and there you have the Necro sword in his hand, looking pretty sweet. So that is that. And I will say the pegs are nice and thick on these hands as well. You don't really need to worry about breaking them. He also comes with a Necro dagger. I knocked the head over, which you can put in the trigger hand, like so. That looks pretty cool. It's a nice translucent green. And then getting the sword out of this hand, actually. You can also take this Necroplasm Blast and use the little handle piece on it to kind of get the hand to look like it's shooting necroplasm, which looks sick. Kind of looks like boogers, but that's okay, because necroplasm probably looks like boogers because it's slime. And then last but not least, it's got this alternate screaming head, which looks a hell of a lot like the Iced Earth album art for the Dark Saga, which is Iced Earth's concept album for Spawn, because I believe it was John Schaefer, one of the founding members of the band, was huge in the comics. He liked Spawn, Lady Death, Purgatory, stuff like that, and they wrote a Spawn concept album. I mean, it doesn't get more metal than that, does it? But yeah, look at that. Look at the detail on that thing. This is worth the price of admission alone, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not getting the modern version as well, because I don't have a figure to put this head on. I want to put the classic head on the figure I have, but man, even if I just got the base figure with no hands, the modern figure with no hands, I would put this head and some of the alternate hands on it. But with that being said, let's actually show you what he looks like with that alternate head and the necroplasm effects before we take a look at some size comparisons. And as promised, here is the remastered Spawn with the alternate head and the necroplasm effect pieces. You saw him with his big old honkin' gun and big old honkin' necro sword at the beginning of the video, and you'll see it at the end for final thoughts, because that's how I roll. But here he is with his alternate accessories, looking pretty freaking badass. Again, I wish I had another figure to display him with these, just because, damn, he looks so good. But with that being said, I think it's time we finally take a look at some size comparisons. And fasten your seatbelts. There's more than just 6 for this video. Taking a look at some size comparisons, here's the new remastered Spawn next to his vintage counterpart on the left. Again, I took a look at that yesterday. If you haven't already, please check that out. As well as the 10th anniversary Spawn, which I picked up at a local comic and toy show quite a few years ago now, on the right. I have not actually reviewed that yet. Let me know if you want me to make that happen. And then for your crispy bacon comparison, here's the new remastered Spawn with his alternate head next to Burnt Spawn, which is actually just a reissue of Spawn 3 with an alternate head and a different cape. He doesn't have the wing cape this time around. On the left, you can see the maggots coming out of that thing's mouth, too. It's freaking gnarly as hell. Shout out to T-Biz, actually, for the hookup on that one. And then the awesome Spawn 6 on the right with that badass severed Malboja head and sword with the green blood splatter on it. I mean, this is how you do an accessory, folks. Look at that thing. Man. Up next, here he is next to the other two modern Spawn action figures. Got our regular, the infamous Mortal Kombat 11 Spawn on the left. And don't worry, he ain't getting replaced by this guy. His cape's way too damn big. And the Mandarin Spawn, the nice and tight version, not the loosey-goosey version from my review, on the right. And lastly, at least for your Spawn comparisons anyways, here is the new remastered Spawn next to the Raw 10 Cygor, which, I don't know about you guys, but I think that's pretty solid value for $20, but I wouldn't mind seeing a fully articulated one in the future. Moving on to some size comparisons from other toy lines, here is the new remastered Spawn next to a couple of Marvel Legends. We got Angela from the Titus Wave, which I think was for Guardians of the Galaxy, if I'm not mistaken, on the left. And unfortunately, I don't think we will be receiving a remaster of that character due to some licensing disputes amongst Todd and one of his fellow artists/writers for Spawn from the early 2000s. So, kind of a bummer there. But also, we have the infamous Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, a blast from Size Comparisons Past, on the right. And last, but certainly not least, got a couple of Mythic Legions. Of course, our regular, the infamous Brother Mandibulus, on the left, and his brewski, Malleus, on the right. So with that being said, time to wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, was this figure worth the wait? I believe so, because currently this is my #1 favorite action figure of 2020. Yes, I know it's only March, and I do this stuff too dang early, but I don't care. It takes a little bit of the stress off when I'm doing the list at the end of the year. So for those of you who make fun of me for that, joke's on you, sucker. But I'm going to be perfectly honest. Even though this thing took damn near a year to get my hands on, and funny enough, we are shooting this review almost an entire year after I did the review for Mortal Kombat Spawn, which was kind of the video that rebirthed this channel and me on YouTube in general, because, like I said in that review, I think I said it in that review. Either way, you've heard it in multiple videos at this point. My old channel got hacked. Yeah, that sucks, but I made a new one trying to get back to where I was, and that's a pain in the ass, but that's besides the point. This figure is freaking amazing, and if you did not buy this thing, I pity your soul, because it's pushing $250 on eBay right now. Not $2.50, $250. That is a lot for what was, I think this was $60 total. It started off at $40, and then after taxes and shipping, it wound up to be, I think the exact number was like $57. I can't remember offhand, but yeah, what happened to just getting figures that were awesome for like $20-30, right? But I'll be honest with you, I'm gonna let that slide with this one, because the sculpt is fantastic. Comes with a lot of accessories. Comes in a bitchin' box, like, or what, 4 or 5 boxes. If you've got a hold of this thing, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They packed the hell out of this, and it just has a killer paint job, lots of dry brushing, airbrushing, whatever you want to call it, brushing, and it's just kind of a monumental piece, because McFarlane Toys has been around for almost 30 years now. The base specifies that, and I think the box does too somewhere. 1994 to 2021. That's a long time. Spawn is also a record holder for longest running independent comic book character of all time. So there is that too. Lots of accolades with this thing. And did I forget to mention, this thing made $3.4 million on Kickstarter last year. So I don't know, I guess it's kind of a big deal. But with that being said, I would highly recommend you pick this guy up if there is another chance to do that. I will not say this is worth $250. I'll say it's worth the money I paid for it, but that $250 price tag is just freaking insane, and I can't condone that kind of behavior, question mark? I don't know what you call that. Stupidity amongst my fellow collectors, because that is insane. But with that being said, before I sign off, I would like to give a couple of shout-outs to Buddy T-Biz. Shout out to T-Biz for letting me sit in during his review so we could do it together, because he got his figure about a week and a half before I got mine. He got the modern version. Go check out his review. It'll be over on his channel, and I'm sure you'll find him in the comments saying something smart as usual. But also, I'd like to give a shout out to my personal friends, Presticorn, aka Monster Bloodbath Lagoon, and Just Monesto 2, who kind of got me into Spawn, along with T-Biz, but I knew these two way before T-Biz by at least a couple of years. I forget, but they're kind of the ones who jump-started my Spawn collecting habits, and I don't think I'd have all the Spawn stuff I have if it wasn't for those two guys. They've been friends of mine since I started YouTube back in 2012, and they've been pretty solid supporters ever since. And then I'd also like to give a couple of shout-outs to Toy Shiz and Talker Art for just keeping Spawn alive in the collecting community, because they have most of the older figures and some of the mid-2000s figures that I do not currently own. I would like to, but jeez, that's a financial endeavor and a half. But shout out to those two guys for being some legit Spawn collectors, keeping the spirit alive within the collecting community. That's really awesome. I love seeing that. I love seeing people review stuff that didn't come out the past year. Gets old, people. Just saying. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, as long or potentially short it may have been. Who am I kidding? This was a long sumbitch. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know whenever I upload more reviews like this one. Also, don't forget to hit me up on Instagram at overlord.productions. That's dot as in the period, not dot as in the word. Just so you know what to look up, because I'm not going to lie, Instagram search sucks. But you can see my live unboxing of this figure, featuring my good buddy T-Biz, or as he is known on Instagram, Plastic Void, at plastic_void. I believe it's underscore, not a period like I use, but you'll find him if you find me. How about that? I will tag him, have him tagged in that post. I uploaded the unboxing to IGTV, which is something new I'm starting to do. I don't think I've ever discussed that before on the channel, but I'm starting to do that now. Unboxing videos will be on my Instagram. There will be live videos at first, but then they will be posted to IGTV as soon as the live stream is over. So for those of you who like that kind of thing, be sure to check out my Instagram for all kinds of stuff like that, and kind of a secondary notification of whenever I post a review, whenever I decide to post the URL on my Instagram. But enough about Instagram. It's YouTube, dang it. But with that being said, also don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of this figure, if you bought into this figure like I did, or if you unfortunately missed out, because I think anyone who didn't buy this is probably jonesing their ass off right now, because this thing is amazing. I mean, just look at him. He's standing there and he looks friggin' sick. So with that being said, keep the comments civil, because the world sucks enough as it is. And until next time, I will catch you guys later.